Okay, great. So can I get the roll call started?
Yes.
I'd like to call the Enforcement and Inspections Committee to order, and I'll have Christy do the roll call.
All right, thank you. Danielle Munoz.
Here.
Tanya Fairley.
Here.
Steve Weeks.
Here.
And Kelly Funk is not in attendance today, but we do have a quorum.
Great, thanks. Nice to see everyone. Okay, moving on to our next item, we're going to discuss and approve the October 10th committee meeting minutes. So do I have a motion to approve?
Yes, I've moved to approve.
A second?
We'll open it up for public comment next.
Okay. Did we get a second? I didn't hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard a second.
I think we need a second.
I heard a second. This is Sabina. I'm not sure who it was, though.
I think I actually thought it was Danielle. I thought you were seconding it.
Oh, no, but I can. I'll second it.
Okay.
All right. A motion and a second. Can we open up for public comment?
Certainly, this is the moderator, and we have opened up the WebEx Q&A feature to facilitate public comment. If you'd like to make a comment on the minutes, you may look for the question mark icon in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, type the word comment in the text box and click send, or you may raise your hand by looking for the hand icon, and it may be behind the three dot other options if you're on a mobile device. And I see no requests for public comment. Shall I close the public comment feature?
Sure. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's do a call on this one then, the vote.
All right. Danielle Munoz.
I approve.
Tanya Fairley.
Yes.
And Steve Weeks.
Approve.
All right, the motion passes.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the discussion and possible recommendation regarding remedial education to reduce or remove administrative fines. So I'm going to ask our executive officer to provide an update.
All right, so staff has talked about this item and how we could do a remedial education program in lieu of a fine. And what we really thought would be the best direction to go on this is to obtain the statutory authority to establish this type of program in regulation. So what this committee, should they agree with that, would do is make a motion. We've provided our recommendation in the memo attached that we would amend section 7407.1 and state that the board shall establish by regulation a remedial education program in lieu of a first offense of a health and safety violation, which may include a fee to cover the costs of administering the program. So that after doing research, that's the language that we came up with as a first draft of this regulatory language. This would need to go to the board for full approval, and then we would need to find an author to carry this language in a bill in order to get it put into statute.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, I am jumping for joy with this right here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm looking at the thing that you sent with the blue. And so we're looking at the blue part that you added. The board shall establish by regulation and remedial. Okay.
We recommend that so that the board can, that gives us the authority, but then the regulations would be more in control of the board on how we exactly set up this program of remedial education. But we would need to get the statutory authority first to be able to do this.
I like it. And my question, just out of curiosity, is the fee to cover the cost of administering the program. Do you know how we'll be assessing that fee?
Any fees that we develop have to be the actual cost. So it all takes basically a study of everything that would be involved, and that's how we generate a cost.
Okay.
So we don't, randomly come up with a fee because we don't want to profit in a sense. We don't want to bring in more money than what we would need in order to operate the program.
Mm-hmm.
And there definitely needs to be a reduce, or they have to pay for the education because they have to have something invested in it in order for them to not be a repeat offender. So
Exactly.
removing the fine is not necessarily removing the fine as it is them paying for the remedial education so that they cannot repeat the offense. And I think the reason why this is a big deal is because, as I stated before, every time we have a DRC or something like that, one of the recommendations is that they can do continuing education without the clear direction on where that is or what that consists of. Makes it kind of difficult, or we're adding another challenging block to that. So I definitely think that this is a step and move in the right direction, and I cannot wait to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, I agree with Tanya. I really like that this is happening.
Steve,
We need a motion. So
yeah,
we
I was going to get there. Mm-hmm. Oh, Steve? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Is the board setting the curriculum for continuing education? It was something we would set?
Yes, that's why we want the statute to give us the authority so that the board could develop the whole program.
Okay, great.
Okay. So right now, do we want to do the motion, and once we get a second, we open it up for public comment? Do we want to go to a motion next?
Yes, so we would need someone to set to have a motion to move the recommended statutory language for 7407.1 to the full board for approval. Is that right, Sabina? Sound good?
Yes, I would just change that. You're recommending to the full board the attached language in 7407.1 for consideration for the board as a legislative proposal.
This is Steve. I would so move.
We need a second.
I second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. We can open it up for public comment.
And this is the moderator, and we're opening up the WebEx Q&A feature to facilitate public comment. If you've got a comment on the motion, you can raise your hand, or you can look for the question mark icon in the lower right of your WebEx screen, type the word comment into the text box, and click send. We do have a request for comment from Wendy Cochran, and as a reminder, you will have 2 minutes to speak. Wendy, I'm sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you very much. So who is exactly going to be providing this education? Are you going to be pushing it back to the private schools to provide? Is this going to be education that is going to be pre-recorded and they can watch it as a webinar? And it's going to be presented by the board staff? This seems a pretty open area that seems that if the BBC were to collect the fees for this, it seems like a little bit of a conflict of interest. But then are we going to trust private educators like the schools that we're already having issues with doing the right thing that they should be teaching their students in the first place? And they should have good comprehension of this in the first place coming out of the schools. Are you handing it back to them to make money off of this situation? I'd like a better understanding before you move this forward to how the board intends on presenting and who will be providing this education. Thank you very much.
This is Sabina. May I address part of that comment?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Wendy. It's Sabina. I think those are really great questions. And I think that when the board, if the board does end up with authority for this type of program, I think that's all going to be, that's all going to have to be addressed in the regulations and the program. So like I say, for a lot of things, this is not the last time you hear of this or see it. We're just, I think this legislative proposal here is just to get the authority to even have the authority to do such a program. So you're going to see language probably for a long time on developing the program. And so I recommend that you keep asking those questions when you see the language too. And so I keep bringing up those great points.
Thank you, Sabina.
And I
Wendy.
do not see any other requests for comment at this time. Shall I close the public comment feature?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, then Christy, we can bring it back to the roll call for the vote.
All right. Danielle Munoz,
Aye.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
and Steve Weeks.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes.
All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, so the next thing is the public comment on items not on the agenda. We can open it now for public comment on any item not on the agenda.
And we are opening up the WebEx Q&A option to facilitate public comment if you've got anything that was not on the agenda. And we do have a raised hand from someone logged into WebEx as Fred Jones. Fred, I'm going to try sending you a request to unmute, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You're unmuted. And it looks like your audio connection just dropped. As a point of information, Fred, if you are interested, you can type your comment. Although you can try again. I just unmuted you again. No, your audio connection just dropped. My apologies. The next request for comment is from someone logged into WebEx as Jamie Schrabeck. And Jamie, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. I sent you a request to unmute your microphone. You're unmuted.
I want to bring to your attention that in the process of enforcement and inspections, the role of consumer complaints, and that it's not very clear if there's any statute of limitations on when a consumer can complain about a service received and how it was performed, particularly when that service results in an injury. And as someone who works with attorneys and has been contacted, I realize that many more injuries and more serious injuries happen than actually get reported to the board. And that's because there is no obligation in law for those settlements to be reported to our board like it would be if it were the medical board. And I think that's something that we need to look into. Thank you so much.
And our next request for public comment is from Wendy Cochran. Wendy, I'll send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you very much. As you know, estheticians and electrologists work in a slightly different environment than an open barbering floor, open manicuring floor, open Cosmo floor. We work behind closed doors and often in solo suites. We've encountered a few situations where we would like better clarity and understanding on how the inspectors are going about their business, what they can actually inspect. Can they inspect handbags? Can they inspect something that is in the property of our visitors and clients? And how they go about entering rooms, especially when we have situations where we have very quick timing that is very critical to not creating burns on the skin or the eyes. We have clients that are undressed, often in very compromising situations that probably none of you would like to be in when somebody randomly walks in your door. We have solo estheticians, a very large population that are female, that have inspectors approaching the door and maybe not showing their badges and things like that. We would like to understand better clarity on how these inspections are happening and what the parameters of those inspections are. In a space where consumer safety is very important, as is the safety of your licensees, not opening the door to random people, we really would like to understand this process better, and we would like it more public than it currently is. Thank you.
And the request for comment from Fred Jones Fred was able to put it into the Q&A feature. The comment is, would like to know what the board enforcement and inspections to confront the huge problem of underground services outside licensed establishments since COVID. And there are no further requests for comment at this time. Shall I close the Q&A?
Yes, you can close it now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll finalize any items that we want to put on the agenda for the next meeting. Should we continue the conversation, or do we need to continue the conversation about the legislative change, or is that already going? Is there anything else we might want to touch on for next time?
I definitely want to address the enforcement clarity,
Great. Mm-hmm.
Public knowledge, and about the talking about the process for suite owners. That was something I had already had written down. So I definitely would like to put that on our next agenda item.
Okay, let's do that.
And we wouldn't need the item that's being forwarded to the board, unless the board chooses to send it back to the committee for some reason, it won't need to be on the next agenda.
Okay, great. That's what I thought. Okay, so let's move with Tanya's. I agree with you. Mm-hmm. Let's put that one on. And then I wouldn't have anything yet because I want to wait to see what will happen with the one we pushed forward. So I don't have anything. Steve, do you have anything?
I don't. I think I'm on agenda overload right now.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. Okay, great. Well, seeing that there isn't anything else, I think that's a great one to bring up for the next time. And I'd agreed with Sabina earlier. I have questions as well about how we'll move forward with the remedial education, but I want to wait to see if we even have that authority. So right. I have questions, but they're like down the line. So with that, let's move to adjourn our meeting today.
Thank you so much. That ends our day of committee meetings.
Oh, right.
Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful.
We made it with power.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.